Okay, in this video we're going to talk about multiplying radicals and also adding and subtracting radicals. Now, when you're multiplying radicals, one thing you always have to remember is that when you have numbers written in radical form, you can only multiply two radicals if the index is the same. That is, the index for the radical expressions that you have, both of them have to have the same index. So for example, you could multiply, say, the square root of 17 times the square root of 19. You could multiply these together and keep them in radical form because the index for both of these is 2. You could not, however, say multiply the square root of 17 times the cube root of 19. That is not going to work because you have an index of 3 here and an index of 2 there. All right, so assuming that you have two radical expressions and their indexes are the same, there are 3 steps to multiplying radicals. First, you multiply the coefficients. And second, you multiply the radicands. And then finally, you simplify your expression. Now, the coefficients of a radical expression, that's the same as coefficients of any algebraic expression. The coefficients are the numbers that come before the radical symbols. So, for example, the coefficient of this radical expression is 2. The coefficient of this radical expression is 5. So, if I want to multiply these two radical expressions, then I would first multiply the coefficients. 2 times 5, that gives me 10. Then I multiply the radicands. 3 times 2, that gives me 6. Step number 3 is simplify, although in this case I don't have anything to simplify because the square root of 6, that's already in simplest radical form. So 10 times the square root of 6, or 10 radical 6, this would be my final answer. Now example number 2, again I'm going to go through my 3-step process. I notice I have the same indexes here. This is a square root, this is a square root, so I can multiply these two expressions. First I multiply the coefficients. Negative 3 times 1 would give me a negative 3. Then I multiply the radicands. 8 times 2 gives me 16. Now I see my answer here is negative 3 times the square root of 16. Now I can simplify this expression because the square root of 16 I know is equal to 4. So negative 3 times 4 would be negative 12, and that would be my final answer.